Well, the only way it's going to end is if we have peace on earth. And the billionaires don't give a penny for peace. If they did, we'd have it tomorrow. And we don't give financial advice. We give you trend analysis and trend forecasts. But for us, precious metals are going to be the big winner. And when the equity markets crash in the United States, that brings reality to the street. The You look at the data; it's all there. How uh, the average person is suffering so much, and how the middle class keeps shrinking and the rich keep getting richer. The reality doesn't hit the street until the equity markets crash. That's when the reality hits the street.
Gerald Celente is issuing one of his strongest warnings yet about what could be coming for the American economy. He believes a major stock market reckoning could arrive as soon as this fall, but his warning goes far beyond Wall Street. Celente connects the danger to persistent inflation, war, energy prices, enormous debt, and a dollar he believes could come under increasing pressure. And because millions of Americans have retirement savings tied directly to financial markets, he argues the consequences could eventually reach ordinary households. Here's why he believes America may be approaching a much more dangerous moment.
What happened? Oil prices sunk, markets went up. They're doing everything they can to rig these markets. He came out last week, and again, on his March 10th, he said that the U.S. Navy was escorting commercial tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. An outright lie. An outright lie. And now he said that he said, thanks to the coordinated efforts of the U.S. military and our Gulf allies, the 7-day average for oil leaving the Strait of Hormuz is currently up to almost 9 million barrels a day. And commodities research, Kepler, KPLER, said that, quote, this is the director of it, of commodity research, Matt Smith, said that Wright was, quote, just pulling a number out of the air. The reality is that Iran has the leverage. Iran has the control. How dare you say that? Besson said differently. Trump said differently. Chris Wright, who's always wrong, said differently. We have lying pieces of scum in a country near you running the world, lying to us as destroying the global economy and probably bringing nuclear Armageddon to life on earth. Because there's also the Samson option, where Israel says if they're going to lose, they're going nuclear. And they have between 90 to 400 nuclear warheads. And no way, no how can anybody defeat Iran. We're writing about this for years. They're very advanced scientifically, militarily, and technologically. And again, America couldn't beat Vietnam, third world nation. Only killed 3.5 million, 58,000 American soldiers, a couple of 100,000 wounded, but that's okay. Oh, you couldn't beat the Iraqis. You couldn't beat third world Afghan. What makes you think you're going to beat the Iranians? This isn't rocket science. So nuclear war is my greatest fear.
That's an extraordinary prediction, and it should be treated as Celente's forecast, not a guaranteed outcome. But his argument is that today's vulnerabilities didn't appear overnight. Years of monetary stimulus and rising living costs have already put pressure on households. Now he believes another energy shock could make the situation significantly worse. And that takes his warning directly into the confrontation with Iran.
And that's reality we believe is going to happen probably this year. Looks like late September, October. And to us, again, they're going to do everything they can to prop up the equity markets before the midterm elections and the economy. So one of the things is that you go back 2 months ago, the bet on the street was that they were going to raise interest rates. Now the bet on the street is they're going to hold interest rates. Our bet is they're going to lower interest rates. They're going to lower interest rates. They manipulate the markets, the facts, saying inflation's much lower than it is. And by the way, even the low inflation numbers are higher than the wage increases of the average person. So inflation's a lot worse than they're saying. So
Oh,
that means
totally.
the lower interest rates fall, the deeper the dollar falls. The deeper the dollar falls, the higher precious metals go up because they're dollar based. And the other currencies go up, it's cheaper to buy. And in these times of peril, again, history proves it. Precious metals are the number one safe haven asset. And that's what we're saying. We're going to see, again, we're going to see a crash the likes of which we've never seen before. The PE ratios are way, way beyond anything could imagine. There's going to be worse crash than the 1929 crash is our forecast.
Celente's language is extreme, but the economic connection behind his argument is straightforward. A prolonged disruption involving a critical global energy corridor could push transportation and commodity costs higher. And a larger conflict could require still more government spending at a time when America's debt burden is already enormous. But Celente believes the financial consequences could eventually reach something even more important: the dollar.
And what makes this so dire is that the fact that retirement accounts are so heavily allocated into equities.
Yep.
I've got some stats here for you, and you probably already know this, but retirement accounts allocations in stocks and US stocks range between 80 to 90% for young adults and 40 to 60% during retirement age. So a large chunk of people's retirement accounts are tied into the stock market. And conversely, about half of the liquidity in the stock market is through retirement accounts. So there's like this symbiotic relationship between the two, the stock market and people's pensions, 401ks, et cetera. So when the shoe finally drops on the stock market, there goes people's retirement account. I mean, it's going to cause massive issues because so many people define their net worth, a large chunk of their net worth, by number one, their house, and number two,
Yep.
their 401ks and retirement accounts.
Yeah, and again, an overinvestment in the private equity groups.
Yep.
And again, they're losing money, and they won't give it back. They're only giving a couple of percentages back, 5 to 15%. They've overinvested in semiconductor and high tech that AI is wiping out these other companies. And AI is the future. And again, China's going to take it over. They're already leading it in the world, but you hardly see it being reported. And as I said, you got what, 1.4 billion Chinese versus 343 Americans. And before Slick Willie Clinton brought China into the World Trade Organization 25 years ago, some 10% of Chinese 18-year-olds went to college. Now, nearly 70%. And they're high-tech AI addicted. China's going to lead the world in this. That's what's going to bring down the US equity markets. There's going to be the dot-com bust.
And this is where the warning becomes personal for Americans. A major market decline isn't simply traders watching numbers fall on a screen. Millions of people depend on financial markets for retirement and long-term savings. But that raises the biggest question of the entire interview. We've seen Washington and the Federal Reserve rescue financial markets before. So why couldn't they simply do it again?
We talk about the coming market crash and how overvalued everything is. But you look back during COVID and they just printed a bunch of money. They printed 33% of the money supply within months. What's stopping them from preventing a market crash again and just running the same playbook and just maybe even doubling the money supply? Who knows? But just printing however much is necessary to keep things propped up. The consequence of that, of course, is sky high inflation.
Got it.
But if they've got a choice between the two, I mean, wouldn't they rather just save the market and deal with the inflation later?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you never know what they're going to do. I'll tell you, somebody tells me, sometimes they call me I predict trends. I don't predict anything. You can't predict it. There are too many wild cards, whether made by nature or humans. So you get it wrong because things change. I thought the markets would crash in 2012. They didn't teach me about a thing called quantitative easing in Economics 101 or graduate school. They make up this crap. Go back to the dot-com bust. I'm sorry, the Panic of '08. Again, we took out the domain name in 2007. According to the Levy Institute at Bard College, the Federal Reserve bailed out the banksters $29 trillion. Remember the repo market?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Prior to COVID.
you got it. Again, and now we're in another repo market crisis. Same thing's happening right now. Everybody forgot about it.
I haven't
Again,
checked the
Trump
repo
is-
market in a while.
Yeah, everybody forgot all about it. Again, things were going down before the COVID war. People forgot about it. They don't, again, tracking trends is an understanding of where we are and how we got here to see where we're going. All these facts are forgotten. It's a replay, but worse, much worse, because of this war.
And that may be the most important part of Celente's warning. He's not claiming anyone can know exactly how this ends. His argument is that the vulnerabilities are already there. Enormous debt, expensive financial markets, persistent inflation, geopolitical instability, and American retirement wealth heavily exposed to equities. His forecast is that a major market reckoning could arrive as soon as this fall, and that precious metals could benefit if monetary intervention puts additional pressure on the dollar. The timing remains his prediction, not a certainty. But if another crisis arrives, Americans may face a much bigger question. Can policymakers rescue financial markets again without eventually making inflation, debt, and dollar weakness even worse? That's the warning worth watching.